Well, here we are wrapping up February 2019 here, and I'm going to say that for the Calgary Roughnecks, our local lacrosse team, actually February was a much better month than how January ended. So anyway, just stay tuned here as it's time for another episode of Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome to my Calgary Roughnecks this month. Here we are up to episode number 4 here, as this is my regular monthly recap segment where I look over how the Calgary Roughnecks did this past month and how we look ahead for the next month here. And February overall actually turned out to be a much better month for the Calgary Roughnecks, and this is definitely a much later month here. I mean, February's a little shorter month here, but we're wrapping up February with a bye here, so I figure now's the time to do the video. And of course, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, with all my Calgary sports takes, recaps, or any personal vlogs or anything else I put on my channel, I occasionally try to be funny with an attempt at comedy. So make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified as soon as I post something, and follow along here. So anyway, let's recap how February 2019 went for the Calgary Roughnecks, or sometimes they're nicknamed the Riggers, the Oilmen, or whatever here. So coming into February here, there was all the excitement that they got Curtis Superman Dixon signed out of his holdout there, but they lost 3 straight, and they came into February 3-4 here, and I felt they were at a crossroads here coming in to see how they do the rest of the season here. And as I recap here, it's going to be some better news overall here, and we'll see how things go, because just like in the NHL this year, the Western Conference is wide open. So let's get to it here. So the first game of February happened on Saturday, February the 2nd. This was week 8 in the NLL season here. The Calgary Roughnecks had their only home game of the month. They were taking on the Vancouver Warriors at the Scotiabank Saddledome. That was a 7 p.m. ball drop here, and this was definitely the rubber match for the season series here, which definitely comes in handy for tie breaks, especially jack for position here, because if you recall, back in December, which would have been episode 2, the Vancouver Warriors beat us in overtime at the home opener there, and then we spoiled their home opener by beating them with a strong second half there. So the season series was split at 1 here, and how to summarize this game is that things didn't actually look too good for the Roughnecks here, as the Vancouver Warriors started off quick with a 3-0 lead here in the first 4 minutes of the game, and I was saying, oh great, this was definitely going to be a long night here. But the first quarter ended. Reese Dutch, the former Vancouver /stealth player that we picked up just before the start of the season, scored the first goal, and Curtis Dixon scored. So it was a 4-2 game after the first quarter there, so things looked a little better, but we still had some work to do after the first 4 minutes of the game. And then the second quarter, Dane Dovey was the only goal scorer, so it was definitely another one of these tight defensive struggles here, as it was 4-3 for the Warriors here coming into the half here. And then Dan Taylor tied it with the goal to make it 4-4, and Curtis Dixon gave Calgary Roughnecks the first lead and made it a 5-4 game for the Roughnecks. And then Mitch Jones for the Warriors tied the game at 5 here early in the fourth quarter there. So the defensive tight battle continued well until the end here, but then eventually the Roughnecks put it away with 3 straight goals in the fourth quarter to make this one an 8-5 win for the Calgary Roughnecks, and they, more importantly, take the season series 2-1 here. So if we ever came down to a tie break, we have the first tie break over the Warriors here. And Christian Del Bianco, after a slow start, he actually continued his strong play there. Actually looked a little shaky there towards the end of January here, but he had 35 saves in the win, and overall the Calgary Roughnecks outshot the Warriors 50-40 in this game. Who'd highlight here for the led the way for the game here? Well, Curtis Superman Dixon actually had 3 goals for the hat trick there, and then Dave Dolby had a goal and 4 assists in the game, and Reese Dutch, the former Vancouver player, who's been a nice pickup all season, has 2 goals and 2 assists here. Let's not to forget that Ryan Martell also had 3 assists for the Roughnecks here, so good all-around depth win there. Who to highlight for the Warriors here? Mitch Jones, he was actually a part in all 5 goals, the goal and 4 assists, and Logan Schuss, who actually scored the first 2 goals for the Warriors there. He had 2 goals and 1 assist for the Warriors there. So, as I said, this is the game that the Roughnecks had to take the season series there, and they were 4-4 on the season here. So next week, Saturday, February the 9th, this was week 9 here, was definitely a huge test here, because since the Rush franchise moved from Edmonton to Saskatoon here, this has been a tough place to play for the Calgary Roughnecks, because they actually have never won at the Saskatchewan Centre here. So that was a 6:30 ball drop for the Calgary Roughnecks and Saskatchewan Rush here. And let's also remind that the Saskatchewan Rush also eliminated the Calgary Roughnecks from the playoffs last year in the Western Conference Finals. So there's definitely some redemption and revenge on the mind here. And just like the Vancouver game, this game definitely started ugly, but much uglier for the Roughnecks here, as the Rush did score 2 goals before Tyler Bass put Calgary on the board. And then this might be legendary, or maybe the turning point of the season here, but after 2 more quick goals by the Saskatchewan Rush to make it 4-1, Kurt Molesky, the head coach of the Roughnecks, called a timeout. And this was 4-1 for the Rush in Saskatchewan at about past the 8-minute mark of the first period there. And whatever was said, or whatever said or done to refocus the team definitely helped there. I mean, after a couple minutes in the game, Curtis Knight did make it 5-1 for the Rush there, but then Dane Dolby scored with under 2 minutes to go in the first to make it 5-2 for the Saskatchewan Rush after the first quarter there. At least slowed down the bleeding here. But then afterwards, things turned around for the Roughnecks here, because led by a Curtis Dixon hat-trick here, the Calgary won the second quarter, and the game was tied at 7-7 going into half here. So Saskatchewan had a 5-2 first quarter. Calgary Roughnecks had a 5-2 second quarter, so it was 7-7 at the half there. So things were looking much better for the Roughnecks at this stage here. And then after the half, things continued well for the Calgary Roughnecks, as they scored 5 straight goals from 5 different goal scorers in the third quarter. And let's note here that the Rush only scored 1 goal in the third quarter here, and that goal did not come until with 2 seconds left in the third quarter there. So that Christian Del Bianco definitely had a strong game too in this game. So it was 12-8 for the Calgary Roughnecks going into the fourth quarter there. Tyler Pace, the Roughnecks had 2 goals, and Mitch Wild and Riley Lowen did put away the empty netters for the Roughnecks here to give Calgary their first ever win in Saskatchewan. And I think the Rush coming in this one also beat the Roughnecks 11 times out of 12 there. So we definitely had a big 17-12 win there. I mean, the Rush did definitely make things interesting there in the fourth quarter. I mean, they were at home there, and this also was the first home loss of the season for the Saskatchewan Rush there, but it was definitely feeling good to, especially how this one started, to pull this one out and win 17-12 against one of our nemesis here. So who stood out for the Roughnecks here? Well, Curtis Superman Dixon definitely had a Superman-like game. He had 4 goals and 7 assists for 11 points in this one. Dane Dolby had 4 goals and 6 assists for a 10-point game. Tyler Pace, he also had 4 goals and 3 assists to lead the way. And then Reese Dutch, actually quietly, he had 4 assists to boot in this game. So it was definitely a our usual suspects definitely stood out for the Calgary Roughnecks. Let's highlight for on the rush side of the ball that Robert Church and former Roughneck Jeff Shatler each had a hat trick and an assist, so they both had 4-point games. And I said Christian Del Bianco, all things considered, had a strong game with 39 saves, and the rush also did outshoot the Calgary Roughnecks in this game, 51-44. But more importantly, we got the big win. So Calgary improves to 5-4 on the season, so looking pretty good there. So Saturday, February the 16th was the last game that they played in February here. This is week 10 on the schedule here. We are taking on the Buffalo Bandits in Buffalo at the Key Bank Center, and this was definitely, as the old cliche goes, a litmus test for the Calgary Roughnecks here, because the Toronto Rock is the top team in the East and the league, and the Buffalo Bandits at the time of this was second behind. So this is definitely a great test to see where this team was at, and I just figured we have a nice mix of veterans and youth on this team here. But to sum up this game, it was actually an entertaining and good game here. It was definitely a tight one all the way, because no one at one point in this game had more than a 2-goal lead here. So it started off actually fast. So Calgary broke the slow start trend by scoring the first 2 goals in the first 2 minutes. Enjoyed a 2-0 lead for a brief time there. And then Buffalo and Calgary traded goals in the remaining time in the first quarter there. So it was 3-2 for Calgary after the first quarter there. Second quarter continued to be tight, teams trading goals, and then both Buffalo and Calgary had a 2-goal stretch there. So it was 8-6 for Calgary at halftime there. So considering we were taking on one of the top teams in the league there, Calgary was looking pretty good there. And then Buffalo in the second half did slowly start showing their offensive muscle here going into the third quarter there, but Calgary was able to still hang in there and the game till the end of the third quarter. Excuse me, I was looking at my notes here. I just wanted to make sure I was in the right place. But it was 9-8 for the Calgary Roughnecks at the end of the third quarter here. But the fourth quarter, Buffalo eventually put it away, and this is where I lost track there. But Buffalo showed their muscle big time in the fourth quarter there, and they actually enjoyed their first lead of this game at 10-9 at the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter there. So it was 10-9 Buffalo there, and a minute later, Curtis Superman Dixon tied it for Calgary, made it 10-10. And then a minute later, Buffalo scored another goal, and it was 11-10 for the Bandits there for much of the fourth quarter, and things stayed tight till got down to the nitty-gritty here. And then another cliche, but it's true, you know, hockey, football, any game, it's a game of inches or even where millimeters is. With about under 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter here, Buffalo was still up 11-10 here. Actually, Curtis Dixon rang one off the crossbar there, and then the ball went the other way for the Buffalo Bandits there and scored on the play and made it 12-10 there with just under 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter there, and ultimately the Buffalo Bandits was able to run up the clock here and took this one 12-10 here, and which I still say it was a very entertaining game. It was close. If you were a fan of either side, you were, as another cliche they say in sports, you were at the edge of your seat there, and definitely felt that tension with the games on the road here. And part of my season ticket package there, I was able to watch, well, I got a credit, so I get to watch all the games on Bleacher Report Live. So that's where you can catch your NLL games online there. Bleacher Report Live, all league, all access there. So that's how I'm able to follow the Calgary Roughnecks there with all the games on the weekend there, watch online there. So I say, it was a tough loss despite the entertaining game. So the Calgary Roughnecks were 5-5 here. So who led the way for the Roughnecks here? Well, Curtis Dixon, after a couple slow starts, because he didn't sign until the middle of January there, they had his holdout there. He actually had 4 goals and assists there, and Dane Doby had 2 goals and 4 assists for the Roughnecks to lead the way for the Buffalo Bandits side of the ball here. Steve Perillo had 2 goals and assists, and Jonathan Thurston and Corey Small each had a goal and 3 assists for the Bandits there. And this was definitely a Wild West shootout here, you know, with the Western theme here, as the Bandits outshot the Roughnecks 55-50 there. Christian Del Bianco had 43 saves in the loss there, and then week 11, as I mentioned, we're on a bye here, so this is their second or third bye week of the season here. So that puts Calgary at 5-5 and second in the West here. So I just taken all the general stats from the league here. Goals for Calgary Roughnecks have scored 108 goals in total. That puts them 6th in the league, which is about the middle of the pack, because there's 11 teams in the league right now, and there'll be 13 here next season, with Halifax and New York joining. Goals against, Calgary has allowed 107. That puts them 7th in the league, so middle of the pack towards the bottom tier. But goal differential, we're +1, and actually puts us 4th in the league there. So fifth place, I did see a team with 0 even, and then it was all minuses. So you know, our offense and defense has kind of been balanced. So the only player that ranks in the top 10 in scoring stats is Dean Dobie, or I should say, before I get their penalty minutes. It's funny how the league sorted us out, because as a team, the Calgary Roughnecks have 110 penalty minutes. That puts them 8th, but really you want to take fewer penalties, and actually 8th in this case is 4th fewest. So when I checked on the league website, they put Calgary 8th, but I think we should be 4th because we've taken the 4th fewest penalty minutes in the league there. But that's how I spin it. So anyway, getting back to the individual stats here, Dean Dobie's the only player that ranks in the top 10 in the league in the major categories. He has 24 goals. That puts him 4th in the league. He has 34 assists. That puts him 5th in the league. And points at 58 when you do the math. Puts him 6th in the league there. And then Christian Del Bianco has made 387 saves, and that puts him 3rd overall there. So that's the quick statistical story there. You can always go to NLL.com for more information, and CalgaryRoughnecks.com. So when it comes to injuries here, if I look at the roster here, well, the protected player list is still Wesley Berg. There's been no word or no story on what's up with him, if he's ever going to sign or hold out. But you know, the Curtis Dixon was in that situation too, and then all of a sudden the blue, he signed and he's playing, and he's back in mid-season form here. But 3 guys that are on the injured reserve right now is actually Curtis Manning, who's been on there for the last few weeks. Same with Jesse King, and recently Tyler Pace is on there. And I mean, the information you get on how these players are hurt is kind of, you know, a mystery here. But anyway, now if you look at the standings here, I'll give you the full standings here. Is that right now, as of this recording, in the West Division there, Saskatchewan is leading the West with a 5-4 record. And then, as I mentioned, the Calgary Roughnecks are 5-5. Second, San Diego Seals, 3rd at 4-4. Colorado Mammoth is 3-6 for 4th, and then the Vancouver Warriors are 5th and last place at 3-7 there. Keep in mind, top 4 make playoffs. So if the playoffs were to start right now, for the western side of the bracket, Saskatchewan would host Colorado in the first round, and Calgary would host San Diego in the semis, and Saskatchewan and Calgary get home field. So if you go on the east side of the standings here, the Buffalo Bandits actually are leading the way with 9-2 there, top league overall, and the Toronto Rock second at 7-1. Third place, Georgia Swarm, 7-4. Georgia based out of Duluth, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta. And then New England Black Wolves. Yeah, the New England Black Wolves are 4th at 5-4. And then the Rochester Nighthawks are 2-7. And the Philadelphia Wings are 2-8. So if the playoffs were to start right now and filling out the eastern side of the bracket, Buffalo would be hosting New England, and Toronto will be hosting Georgia. So that's the standings as we sit week 11, coming into week 11 action here on this video here. So this is the part where we'll look ahead here And March is definitely going to be a much busier month for the Calgary Roughnecks. Plus, they actually will spend more time at the Saddledome here. So first game, Saturday, March the 2nd, that would be week 12 in the schedule there. The Calgary Roughnecks are back in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon at the SaskTel Centre, 6:30 ball drop. So we'll see how Calgary can continue their success that they had a couple weeks ago against the Rush again. And, now the Saskatchewan Rush has to win both games against Calgary if they're going to take the season series on us. So Saturday, March 9th, week 13, is the next home game for the Calgary Roughnecks. They'll be taking on the the Toronto Rock here. That's a 7 p.m. ball drop to Saddledome here, so it's another litmus test game. See how we stack up with the top league, and we looked good against the Buffalo Bandits on the road, despite the result there. And week 16, Saturday, March 16th, week 14, the Calgary Roughnecks take on the Colorado Mammoth at home. That's a 7 p.m. ball drop. And that will decide the season series in that one, because the Calgary Roughnecks won the first matchup in January there, and then the Colorado Mammoth won the second matchup. So that season series is split at 1 there. And then Saturday, March the 23rd, week 15, the Calgary Roughnecks go on the road to take on the Rochester Nighthawks, who were the runner-up of the NLL Championship last year and forced Saskatchewan to a Game 3 here. Listen to this name, where they play at the Connors and Ferris Field at the Blue Cross Arena, 5:30 p.m. ball drop. So that Roughnecks will be on the road for that one. And then the last game of March would be Saturday, March 30th, week 16. The San Diego Seals come to town to take on the Calgary Roughnecks, 7 p.m. ball drop, and once again, that's going to decide the season series, as the Roughnecks and the Seals each won their home games in that season series there. So definitely lots of lacrosse action to look forward to for the Roughnecks here in March here, after having fairly light, January and February there. And then actually both teams, or every team has 3 bye weeks in the season here, and I figured out that the third bye week for the Calgary Roughnecks is essentially going to be they're going to finish playing all their 18 games for everyone else. So the next break that Calgary won't be till before they hopefully make the playoffs there, and I'm liking their chances of making the playoffs where they stand in the standings right now, especially if they can win the season. Well, we got the season series in Vancouver there, and potentially get the season series on Colorado and San Diego there. So anyway, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching and following along here. And as I say, I'll see you at the next video, which would be episode 5 if you're following the Roughneck series or anything else I post on my channel. So I'll see you then.